And we are back with round 11 of the Toronto Brampton Regional Championship here. My heart's still racing. I'm calming down, but we got a new host in the booth right now. Myself, Jefferson Saran, to my left.
John Kettler, aka Cal Chexus on Twitter, and I gotta be honest, I'm feeling like the bridesmaid again. I'm a little jelly.
You're missing
I'm,
all the
I'm a
you're
little
missing all
jelly,
the
yeah.
sauce, man. I'm sorry, man.
Well, I mean, I'm literally right off camera getting to see that, so I mean, it's cool. Like the energy's so there, and I'm just hoping we can bring that with this next match too. It isn't quite the same as a Mew box deck
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you have all these surprises that are going to pop up at a moment's notice,
hmm
but at the same time, the game's still really exciting, and there are a lot of great matchups, even though Trev is all over the place.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a clash of the kind of like the we have the Titan and Zorak Garbodor, and then we have the not so much Titan, but definitely very powerful Shocklock.
That's right. Although I think at this point, our players, they're still setting up. Is that right?
Their headphones are on.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So we have, with one player, Zach Cooper here, with the Shocklock deck, the very not as well-known deck as some of the other control
hmm
decks in the past, but it's had a great facelift over the past year or so, where it's been a deck that's been around for a while, with the idea being to use Lillipup from Black and White's pickup attack.
hmm
So the concept is to have a Stoutland from Boundaries Cross, and this is getting really old, folks. This is a card from several years ago. Same thing with the Lillipup. I mean, 2011, 2013, we're going seriously way back here. And that's the cool thing about Expanded, where the idea is you bring up that Stoutland, shut off your opponent's supporter cards by leaving it in the active position. And by using effects to use the attack of Lillipup, the pre-evolution of Stoutland, you can basically get back infinite resources with that pickup attack. And the deck's gotten a huge facelift so far with the Memory Energy card. The Memory Energy card letting you use the attacks of pre-evolution. So before we were using different stadiums, we were using different Pokemon like Celebi,
Yep.
Shining Celebi, but now we've got Memory Energy to copy those, and it's a way more efficient version of the deck.
Looks like we're underway now, and it's going to start on Noah's turn. Zorua inactive, and that Lillipup you were just speaking about on Zach Cooper's side. Ultra Ball coming down, discarding what looked to be, okay, the black and white Zorak, another throwback card, and an N.
That's right, and the black and white Zorak with its foul play attack gives Zorak GX decks a very cheap, efficient way to exploit other decks with its foul play attack, which for a single double colorless energy, you can copy any of your opponent's attacks in the active position. And so by being able to do that, there are little nifty plays that Noah can make to counter Zach. Like, for example, if he, say, for instance, wants to be able to copy that pickup attack, then he can do that and get back some resources.
Absolutely there. We do see a Tapu Lele Wonder Tag to search his deck for a supporter and grabs a Bridget, which will allow you to search your deck for 3 basic Pokemon and bench them right away right now. So we do see a Zorua and a Trubbish. He's eyeing down a third one still. Another Zorua. So 3 Zoruas coming down to hopefully combat this Locky deck going on that he's going to see here in a few.
That's right, and we didn't get a chance to get too knee-deep into Noah's deck. He's already been on stream as of yesterday, but it is Zorak Garbodor, a very successful, popular deck. It won the World Championships in the Standard format. It's still fantastic in the Expanded format as well, even with all of the different bans that have frustrated Zorak's ability to control the game. It's still a great deck, and it's still very powerful.
All right, so on to Zach's turn. We do see a little Bridget of his own, and he's going through a quick deck search right now. And good to see Pikachu, the mascot of Pokemon, come down here.
And Kirk's favorite Pokemon, right?
Kirk's absolute favorite Pokemon there.
Absolute favorite. No, and the great thing about, and this is a subtle detail here, is the Pokemon you choose, other than just your final evolutions, make a big difference. And that Pikachu in particular, because of its higher HP, it's a better option in general. And one thing that we had seen before in the past with the choice of basic Pokemon is what attack to use. Because the deck no longer runs Lightning Energy,
hmm
that Thunder Wave is not as relevant as it was before. So the paralysis isn't as relevant, but the HP still is.
We do see that card you're mentioning right before this match started is that memory energy being attached to the Lily Pup on bench. Going to bring to that effect of being able to use the previous evolution's attacks as far as as long as you have the energy requirements there. Going on into Noah's turn, we do see a Colress here, and with the 4 on bench on Zach's side and 4 on Noah's, going to be able to draw 8 cards.
Right. Now, one card that I really want to see pull off some action on Noah's side is he runs a single copy of Hypnotoxic Laser, which is incredible. Now, this was a very popular card in the past, especially when it first came out, and especially when Expanded was a newer format.
Mm-hmm.
But you flip a coin. It's an item card. You flip a coin. If heads, you both poison and put your opponent to sleep. If tails, it's just poison. So at any rate, no matter what happens, you get free damage that can potentially accumulate. And against a deck that's trying to sit with a single Pokemon and just attack over and over again, that's a big deal.
So one thing to note, Noah after that Colress, he just passed. So the 8 cards must have not been enough for him there. Or maybe he's waiting to see the first paralysis to evolve before he does that there. But going to Zach's turn, Tate and Liza right off the back. Going to use the option to shuffle his hand to his deck and draw 5 cards.
We've got that Tropical Beach down, one of the rarest, most desirable cards in the whole Expanded format. Special Stadium card you could only get by either trading for someone who had gone to the World Championships or if you got an invitation either to judge or compete yourself. Stadium card, put it into play, and you draw cards until you have up to 7 in your hand, and it ends your turn. Both players can use it, but it's obviously more advantageous for the player who owns and is using it because you get first whack at that ability to draw cards.
Absolutely there. So Tropical Beach coming down, and then Ultra Ball to bring down the Loa Muck, and he just does Tropical Beach, which what that card does, very powerful stadium card. It's going to let you draw up until you have 7 cards in your hand, but then your turn ends as an effect.
Exactly.
All right, and the Garbodor coming down, DCE to the active. Is he going to have all the pieces to get to the Float Stone to activate it?
Maybe. Just looking down the list here, it looks like, as far as Noah's options, he only runs 2 copies of Floatstone, so it's a little bit less likely to be able to hit that right combination. He also runs Dowsing Machine as his A-Spec of choice. A-Specs, you can only run a single copy of those particular item cards, but in exchange you get a very powerful effect. Now, if you had Computer Search, his odds would be a little bit better, but at the same time, having that Dowsing Machine seems like it'll have a lot more utility in a matchup where you cannot play supporters as much, but you can play items.
So we do see that he was able to compress a few cards away and then do another Colress here, adding another card to the bench in the process, another Zorua to add his total of cards to draw to 9. So I'd venture to say he would want to see a Zoroark GX here and that Floatstone we were just mentioning. Ooh, and a red card.
I would love to see this red card at just the right time in this matchup because Zach's deck.
I think he has Floatstone. Yep, he has Floatstone
Oh, and he's
and
got
Zoroark.
Floatstone too.
And Zoroark.
I would love to see red card come down at an opportune time. Like, I don't
Right
know,
there.
maybe right now, yeah.
He just had a Tropical Beach just now, so yeah, perfect timing for that red card to hit. And the Garbodor lock.
Exactly. Now, keep in mind, Zach runs 4 copies of Tropical Beach, so not only does he have one of these really expensive cards, he has 4. So his odds of being able to draw out of this aren't too terrible, but keep in mind there are a lot of cards that need to go into play before Zach has his complete perfect lock.
There it is. Garbodor, Garbotoxin in effect here. Riot is beating for the clean 120 on the Lillipup. And there's the other beach, as you were just mentioning there. He does have 4 copies.
That's right. Looks like we have just a little confusion just about the stadiums. Remember, you can only have one stadium in play at a given time. Okay, and it looks like there's a little bit of a pause trying to get some confusion figured out here. And we're right back to it. So with that Juniper for 7, not nearly as expensive, but those full arts can be a pretty big deal too. Looks like we've got a number of the pieces of the combo for Zach's side here. He's going to need a little bit more than that though, because he's going to need a Stoutland. He's going to need Raichu to keep on Evo Shocking over and over and over again for that paralysis, and that's the concept of the deck. That right there is how it pulls off the potentially limitless paralysis in this deck is by being able to reuse that ability over and over again.
So we did see the rare candy to the Stoutland here off of that Juniper, and then another memory energy going down to the other Piplup as well. But no Raichu's in play just yet to do that paralysis effect there, that Evo Shock, paralyzing your opponent once the Pokemon is evolved. Douse Machine discarding Choice Band and the Roblox Sudowoodo, and he does red card again.
I love to see that because I think Noah's acutely aware.
And he bumped the stadium.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, for Tropical Beach, you're kind of daunting, but if they get taken off the board, that makes things a heck of a lot easier. Now, I see that Wobbuffet going down, and I'm a little concerned because of the 1/1 copy of. Well, I'm a little concerned about that Wobbuffet because on one hand, it does shut off the ability.
Oh my gosh, that hand is atrocious. Oh, he got Diverse Seeker at least, okay, but that hand, for a second, was looking at 3 Devo sprays. Oh, yeah, that was looking rough.
But this isn't exactly that great either, having to Tate and Liza for 5 new cards. You have 1 of 2 effects, either a switch or shuffling and drawing a hand of 5 new cards.
So that Wobbuffet you were mentioning there was not, you don't think it was the most optimal drop there? You weren't feeling too great about it?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that. Oh, and we've got a concession, it looks like, so Noah's already up a game. But yeah, about that Wobbuffet. So it has some really neat applications in a matchup like this because if you promote it at a given time, you can shut off the ability of Stoutland and get your supporters back. But at the same time, it can become a big target because Zach runs a 1/1 copy of a Alolan Muck in his deck. So Power of Alchemy can shut off that ability, and eventually that Wobbuffet, that weakness for Zach's deck, can be turned into an advantage because it could be brought up and shock locked into oblivion.
Okay, no, good point there. I definitely see that there. But we did see a dominating fast train there. Noah was able to control that game, getting that turn 3 Garbodor there.
Yeah.
Red card, Flowstone, Riot is beating for KO, all in that, and get rid of the Tropical Beach all in that one sequence. And they repeated it again the next turn after he was able to Juniper out of it there. So what do you think Zach needs to do here coming into game 2?
Well, one thing that I mean, the first thing is he needs to set up, and actually I'm kind of amazed that he got set up so quickly, but first thing is he needs to actually set up, get stuff into play. Going first definitely does not hurt, but I mean, drawing into the right cards is really the main thing here because he has a big combo he needs to set up. And past that point, he just needs to make sure that he's chaining everything right because the risk with a deck like this with an infinite loop combo where if you're getting back cards over and over again, that's what happens with the Lillipup's pickup attack is you're going to get back a whole bunch of stuff to replenish your resources. So you get that infinitely, but what happens if you make a mistake with the way you're doing things? If you do, then that might result in giving your opponent a huge opening. So not only does he need to get set up, but just go through the motions correctly.
Absolutely there. So we do see Tapu Lele for the Bridget here to get a Goomy, Pikachu, and a Lillipup there, and also benches in a Alolan Grimer to that point there to help assist with that Wobbuffet there, which Noah does have in hand currently, but I can't really see. There's an Ultra Ball there, Trubbish. Curious what he's going to discard here. Probably the Klefki, I would assume.
There's a lot of advantage in discarding the Klefki. It doesn't have as much utility in the matchup as opposed to others where Klefki is essentially a Pokemon that's a tool, but it's only a tool for a single turn. Now, its effect, being able to protect the Pokemon it's attached to from Mega Evolutions is kind of irrelevant at this point because, well, Mega Evolutions got the shaft for the most part in the Pokemon trading card games, so they aren't nearly as powerful, generally speaking, and they're not nearly as popular, even if they are good. But it's still helpful in the deck because it's a way around item lock. Even though once it's attached, it functions like a tool for that turn. In order to get to that initial point where you are playing it, it still counts as a Pokemon. So it's great against Trevenant, and it's a great way to get ability lock against them.
So right there, he went into Tapu Lele to get a Colress there, bench the Trubbish, bench the Shaman for additional cards, and now has a full bench. So opts not to Colress. I guess he likes the cards he has in his hand right now currently. And yeah, but next turn he has a chance to do a full 10 cores. And
Eh,
man, a
Dump in that hand for Juniper.
really expensive Juniper there. 2 Junipers. It's like a rare candy field
Yeah, and a
blower
super
and
rod.
a Devo sprayed.
Man, it's. I gotta admit that's a really rough discard, but one of the little subtle details that's probably a bit rougher than we might appreciate is that discarding of the one rare candy,
Mm-hmm.
where even though it might not seem like a big deal, it actually can make a difference in the long run if he has trouble hitting what he needs. But I think I see a Herdier in his hand, so that's kind of a moot point. Herdier, with its ability,
Mm-hmm.
lets you grab an item card back from your discard and put it into your hand. So might turn that little bit of a disadvantage into a strength, especially if he gets red carded.
Absolutely there. So he does. I think he just does the tropical beach and just passes there, and he does a chorus for easy 10.
Yeah, now one thing I'm just hoping and praying for if I'm Zach is for Noah not to hit a single copy of the red card,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, let's be real here. Looking down the list on Noah's side, he only runs just that single copy. So to be able to get that and then reuse it
He
another
got it.
turn,
He,
and
he's drawing. He was
yep.
drawing 10 cards, and the fourth one popped up. Was that red card there? I don't see any Zorak GXs. Maybe I just missed it there, but there is the red card.
And I'm like, you know what? If I've got the red
Oh
card, no problem.
man! If he's able to do the whole combo again with the red
And
card,
there's the Skyfield
Garbotoxin.
again.
He's bumping. Oh my goodness! Let's see if he pulls it all off. Does he have the Garbotoxin also? I think I see the Zorak. Okay,
Yep,
there's
there it
Zorak
is.
there. We're gonna
So
probably trade the execute. Okay, battle compress first.
I like the battle compressor, even if you don't have a whole lot of stuff to get.
So he keeps discarding the foul play Zorak here.
Yeah, maybe there's really not that much utility in being able to use the foul play, especially considering you have, trade and riot as
Yep.
beating. Those are pretty broken aspects of a card, so by playing a foul play Zorark onto a Zorua, you're also trading off the ability to use another Zorark GX.
Yep. Understandably there. Understandably. Okay, so just a tap on Zach's side here. He still has access to trade. Yep, there he goes. Turning the card to identify that there. And a Verse Seeker to probably use Chorus again the following turn. Oh, man. No Garbotoxin, however, but still red card, no beach. I'm going to take the KO here with Riot as a beating.
And we're about to go seriously in the weeds there, but you know how that Zorak is tilted diagonally?
Mm-hmm.
That actually makes a big difference so as to not confuse anybody. Now, probably the best practice if you're going to do something different is have a marker,
Yep.
like those markers we saw yesterday that say ability used. But this is okay to have it tilted a little bit so as not to confuse it with the paralysis
Mm-hmm.
tilt. So super knee-deep in the weeds here, but you can't tilt it too much or it's going to look like you're paralyzed.
Absolutely there. So we go on to Zach's turn. He does bench a Lillipup and play Gladion. What Gladion does let you look at your prize cards, and then switch to Gladion out with one of the prize cards there, shuffle them up, and replace them.
That's right. And you get this funny, awkward situation where because it's technically a shuffle, your opponent gets the chance to either cut or shuffle back. So you have these funny, awkward situations where an opponent's shuffling a six-card deck. That Noah's like, okay, no, let's just go ahead and keep on going.
So Computer starts dropping what looks to be a Stoutland and a Special Charge. Could be able to search his deck for any card.
And
There's
that's the
Tropical
best
Beach.
card to search for right now if you need a whole bunch of stuff.
Is he going to evolve the Muck? I'm curious if he's going to also evolve to the Muck and get a full
And
7.
he does.
Yep. And a Tropical Beach for the full 7. Let's see if Noah can repeat history here and hit the red card one more time off a dowsing machine. Well, there's the bump.
That's one piece of the puzzle.
There is a bump. I see a Guzma. Verseeker probably going to be for that Chorus here.
Yeah, and that's probably the best way to approach it, where even if you don't have insanely good odds of being able to hit that, a Chorus for 10, let's face it, is a lot of cards. I mean, that's one of the, I've said it tons of times before, I'll say it again, that's one of the unique things about the Pokemon card game versus any other card game, even non-trading card games, is that you draw a whole bunch of cards, and Chorus is one of the best ways to do that. For each Pokemon on each player's bench, you get to draw that number of cards. So with Skyfield, with people playing full benches, like Zach's super setup-oriented Stoutland deck, we're getting a whole bunch of resources. But see a little bit of hesitation there. I'm not sure if he... Oh, and I think I see the dowsing. Yeah, he's
going to
got
do it again. Is he going to propagate or is he going to get rid of stuff in his hand? Okay, I didn't know he was going to propagate at all.
I kind of like to keep that Hypnotoxic Laser just in case. That's that's a randomly helpful card in this matchup, and I, I mean, I would have loved to see it, but it's fine
Zach's
for the
already
most
picking up
part
his
because it's
hand.
that red card that's more important.
Zach's already picking up his hand. Oh, man, this is rinse repeat of last
Yes,
game.
sir.
Double red card, double stadium bump.
Ouch.
Let's see how he recovers. Let's see what's in his hand. Okay,
You got
Verse
a
Seeker.
Visa,
Got a
Via
Verse
Seeker,
Seeker
yeah.
Ultra Ball. It's like a Gudra, I think.
Looks like it.
Let's make sure that Ditto goes to the Lost Zone. Off of that Ultra Ball there. Looks like the Ditto went to the discard pile and probably needs to go to the Lost Zone.
And we'll probably have the players catch it at some point. We've actually got one of our staff assistants who's running over to make a brief note of it, but it's for the most part irrelevant until players start shuffling it back in.
Yeah, you never.
Then you have the super complicated.
Sometimes you look at
Game
rescue
state
stretcher
errors.
and you might accidentally slip that in. You want to kind of just avoid those any kind of nuances right there. Just to avoid any penalties at this deep in the game. You're in day 2. You're gonna go with the flow right there, and you may accidentally slip up. You never know.
Oh yeah, and that's the last thing that players want. Honestly, that's the last thing that we want from the staff side. Judges, everybody else is making sure things are just a good, clean game.
Mm-hmm. What is that card under the Ultra Ball? See, Tate and Lies, I couldn't tell what the other full art was.
Couldn't make it out.
Well,
That's the problem about those full arts is they're blindingly beautiful.
Alright. Opting not to evolve into the Gudra there, decides to just do a Juniper it away.
And so we finally got some Raichu Evo shocking action possibly going on.
There is Raichu's in his hand, and we do see a Stoutland, and there is the Beach is discarding. And because of that, to note, Noah had to discard the Pokemon on his bench since Skyfield is no longer in play.
Now the final piece of the Shock Lock combo, which we haven't discussed since we haven't really had a chance to see the combo pulled out in this match, is the use of the item De-Evolution Spray. De-Evolution Spray, an item card that lets you bring back the top stage of a Pokemon back into your hand. That's necessary in order to be able to repeatedly paralyze Pokemon with Evo Shock and Raichu, and you get that back with Lillipup's pickup. So you need to time your evolution correctly here, because technically you can't evolve the moment that you de-evolution spray.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, he's holding off on this evolution here. That would have been a great paralysis to have, but the reason why he is holding off on evolving and Evo Shocking with the Raichu to paralyze is because he does not have the backup de-evolution spray.
Okay, we do see 2 traits here into effect. I don't see. Okay, here's a verse. He's going to get a Colress here, but I'm curious. He needs to get that Garbodor out before he can start doing these Evo Shocks and doing the Sentinel play from Stoutland to not play any supporters here. See if he can lock him out before he gets the chance to take it to effect. That lock we were just speaking of.
Okay. Yeah, and realistically, this might be one of the only turns left before Noah's out of supporters.
Okay, there is a Garbotoxin. He does Field Blower away to Beach and is able to Colress. The only thing I think I'm just noticing right now is that all 3 of the 4 DCs are in play. So if Zach starts chaining those Fabas, they're gone. They're not later in his hand to attach later on.
That's right, and as a personal playstyle thing, it's really exciting to see somebody running a single copy of that Faba card, the supporter card, letting you take one of your opponent's special energy cards and put it into the lost zone, not the discard pile. And we made a big deal about that a few minutes ago with the Ditto. It makes a big difference because if it is in the lost zone, it is gone. You are not going to see it again.
Memory energy coming down onto the Stoutland on bench here. I think he's already putting saying that his Lele is probably going to be taken down. Well, let's see what he opts. He's going to get a Guzma potentially.
We
No,
got the Tate
Lies to switch it out, or he's a shuffle. Okay. Into his deck. So Tate Liza has 2 effects there. He's able to switch to active one of his bench Pokemon, as well as shuffle his hand into his deck and draw 5 cards.
Yeah, it's the best play that he decided to get some more cards. He potentially could have done a cute play, bringing up that Stoutland and just attacking with Lillipup's pickup, but that really does not advance his game state at all. So he still needs to chain pieces here, and he still needs to get everything going. Now, if I am Noah, I'm also eyeing that Pikachu as a possible knockout, because you can't chain paralysis if you have nothing to paralyze with.
One thing here to note, too, that I just kind of caught here is that I noticed that Zach only runs 1 Field Blower, but it's because he's able to keep constantly returning that Field Blower back, even if Garbotoxin was in effect, with that memory energy and pick up on the Lillipup.
Right, and I'm liking liking this potential knockout here on the Pikachu. Well, it's a little more than potential.
It's certain.
Imminent.
It's certain. So down to 3 prizes. Noah goes, taking out that Pikachu to only, Pikachu on Zach's board right now. And he can't bench multiples right now. His bench is already full, almost full there, so you can't put down additional Pikachus. He's only able to put the 1 down, so gives him a target easily right now.
Right, and we've got this Ultra Ball as replacement for the Pikachu. But it's the same situation.
And I'm certain Noah has Guzma in hand. I'm certain there's a way he has the Guzma up that Pikachu yet again.
Yeah, and we have a really awkward board state here where unless Zach gets a second Pikachu,
Okay, he might be able to now.
Get targeted again
That
with that AZ.
The AZ is going to help a lot. It's going to open up a space for him. Does he have another Ultra? No other Ultra Ball. Just looks like his Rare Candy, Lele, and I think another Stoutland. Did he just put his discard pile in his hand to his discard pile?
I
can't tell.
I don't know. Does he actually have a hand anymore?
Okay. It looks like this is off camera that his hand.
Okay, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, it makes it a little confusing, but hey, as long as things are going clean, that's perfect.
Okay. He has a Verse Seeker in hand, it looks like.
Yeah, I got that with the Memory Energy activated Lillipup pickup. So lots of pretty interesting interactions going on there.
No Guzma play from Noah to take out the Pikachu there, so we might start seeing his lock come into place.
Yep, and that's Sentinel coming into play. So,
well, unless he has the Field Blower. He needs the Field Blower also to take off that Garbotoxin.
Right. So he needs the Field Blower to get rid of Garbotoxin, but at the same time, it looks like Noah just wasn't sitting on the right combination of cards in his hand.
So let's see here. Would you the Ultra Ball Verse Seeker for Juniper? Yep, Juniper.
Looks like it. And counting his deck real quick to make sure that he is not at risk for decking out, having no cards left.
Taking Liza. Gonna be able to keep his hand low.
And we got that Juniper coming up. All right.
And actually, I think I just remembered something. I believe his Field Blower was discarded off an early Juniper, if I remember correctly. Remember when I made the comment about it's a really expensive Juniper that's going on right now? I believe the Field Blower was in that Juniper now that I mentioned here. So he's only going to be able to get that back off a pickup from Lillipup.
That's rough. So if Zach wants to be able to make this comeback, he's going to have to play the longer game here. And I got to be real with you. I mean, it's going to be easier said than done in some ways, but
unless that's it right there.
That
might be the Field Blower.
No, that's Rescue Stretcher.
Okay.
Rescue Stretcher.
So he's probably going to grab another Pikachu, I would assume.
Get back some resources
either
way.
Piplup or Lillipup. Wrong pup.
So many pups, so many
wrong
lups.
type too.
Definitely not the S tier starter Piplup.
I'm sure the chat loves that right now.
Well, I think the chat loves Rowlet. I mean, like I don't see Rowlet down in F tier too often.
So you think he's still eyeing out his play here? You think he has to go for the Field Blower now, or he still has a couple turns to hold out? Because it means Noah's only 3 prizes away from this game.
I think he's got a turn to hold out, because once you get that lock going, it's pretty hard to get around. And Noah doesn't really have a whole lot of resources to take advantage of the Float Stones, because, again, he's already used a Dowsing Machine. He only runs 2 copies total. It helps that he is decently far ahead in the game at this point, but I already see the board slowing down for Noah because he either has no abilities due to his own Garbotoxin or he has no supporters. But I'm liking to see this Trashalanche come into play too. That's going to be big damage.
And an N to get rid of those cards that Zach just put his hand. And the big thing here is that you saw that Zach was just caught in his deck just now. It's very thin. And being able to maximize the end draw there, full 6 cards, going to narrow down how many cards left in deck he has to draw.
Yeah, and actually, even though the idea of being able to win with infinite paralysis is usually to deck out your opponent, it looks like Zach's deck is a little thinner than Noah's right now, where both are spread thin to an extent here. But at the same time, Zach has to hit all the cards in the combo in order to get rolling. But I think I see a Rare Candy and a Stoutland for that automatic stage too.
I don't see any memory energies though.
But no memory energy.
Computer search in hand though, so you can't get there if that is the route. And I think that's the FABA as
Yeah,
well.
and it would be nice to see that FABA applied at some point, but with
He can actually do. I think he can also look at doing FABA on the floatstone, rare candying to the Stoutland, and then doing the Raichu evolution.
yeah, now one thing that hurts a little bit in trying to chain all these combos going on right now is the loss of that Pal Pad. Pal Pad, an item card letting you shuffle 2 supporter cards back into your deck.
Mm-hmm.
That effectively is your way to reuse supporters in many ways. With Lillipup's pickup attack, you can either get back the Pal Pad, you can get back the VS Seeker.
So, so what card did he get off of the computer? Memory energy. Okay, so we might be seeing that play there. Get Faba, Floatstone to the Lost Zone,
Nice.
Rare Candy to this. Okay, Herdier. So it's not gonna have the full lock yet.
That's right, and we're guaranteed not to have the supporter lock this turn, but I'm interested to see which item card he goes for.
So you just pick one item card off with his ability, correct?
Correct. And he's got
Looks like he's eyeing Rescue Stretcher.
a wide variety of options. Rescue Stretcher is not bad because he ideally needs to set up that supporter lock at some point.
Okay, looks like Rescue Stretcher is gonna be the play here. Is he gonna just opt to do the 1 Pokemon to the hand or the 3 into his deck?
I could see it. I didn't get a peek at all the exact cards, and
Okay.
this tells me right now that the rest of his hand wasn't that strong to justify it, so it makes sense in context for him to do that. And also, you guys might have noticed that play was a little delayed. Well, usually that's something that players will criticize somebody for, but I feel like that was justified because of how crucial that rescue stretcher was. That was a game-deciding decision.
Top deck Versier. If there's a Guzma in a discard pile, he's able to work around this right now. Work around his paralysis.
Yeah. But the amazing thing is, even if he works around the paralysis, he'll still need one more card because Garbotoxin is off, but on the other hand, Noah can
Does he have
get some
Guzma
more
in a
cards.
discard pile? He just claimed Guzma. Does he have it in a discard pile? Yes, he does. Okay, it's right there. Okay, so take out the Gumi. All right.
Oh, wait a second. The Gumi with its the Gumi with its ability.
Oh no.
The Gumi with its ability.
Oh no.
The Gumi with its ability results in the cost.
Hold on, no, it should not be.
Because of
Power
Alolan Muck.
Power of
Power of
Alchemy.
Alchemy. I love that interaction right there. I love how all those cards are related to each other because
wow.
Okay, so we had 3 different ability lock interactions going on, and they're still trying to figure it out. So
yeah, no, you're 100% right there. Power of Alchemy did shut off the Gumi there, not taking away his ability to add that extra additional attack cost to the Pokemon, and because of that, kind of just bit himself in the butt in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, in this matchup, we have not seen Power of Alchemy really do any good for either side when you break it down. But here, that one chance where he could have gotten a really lucky misplay exploit was not actually a misplay because, hey, the ability shut off. So in most situations, it would have been different.
All right, what's he going to do here? He's going to just go ahead. Yeah, let's see his Ultra Ball, Colress, and a Juniper. So all he needs is energy to retreat, which could be in the form of one of the psychic energies, which he has one left and one DCE left.
Yeah, that's right. Now, the energy have not been fabbed yet. I like the choice of the fab on the floatstone earlier just so that you get rid of those resources permanently. But with the dowsing machine gone, it might not be as big of a deal.
I think he has it all. Yeah. Juniper the rest of his deck. Retreat. Yep, there it is. Get the last energy in hand and to retreat the Shaman out of active and then trash the Lance or ride his meeting for game.
Wow.
That last little sequence right there, I think Zach was like, oh wait, he actually got the Gumi there, and then Power of Alchemy shutting off Gumi's ability there, contradicting just a little bit there of what he was hoping for out of it.
And you know what? I mean, I think we still have this debate with people. That was a neat interaction of cards to see. That whole matchup basically had almost the past decade of Pokemon cards all coalescing into one match where we've got a deck that's based entirely on about over half a decade's worth of cards. We've got all these different situations, all these weird interactions between 2 different ability locks, a disruptive ability on a basic Pokemon, not even the final Pokemon, a basic Pokemon.
Yep.
It's just incredible, and I love seeing how all these players have to account for extremely sophisticated interactions. You don't see that in many other card games.
Venture to say that Shocklock has not really been on the radar, I guess, coming in this tournament as much there. So I like the way how Noah navigated that matchup there, holding out evolutions till he's ready to get to the Garbodor, and those red card plays, super super efficient and clutch
Yeah.
there, and both times they're
And
both
super early.
super early, back to back, and really put Zach on a back burner.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like Noah might have gotten a little bit of luck on his side because those were early. Now, granted, he has ways to give himself the best odds
Yeah,
possible with those Colruses
two
for
massive
10.
Colress,
Yeah, huge Colruses, trade, battle compressor, things to thin out his deck, draw cards. So he's giving himself the best odds. Although with a single copy, I loved just seeing that, and I loved
Seeing
being
that
able to
chain
get
off
past
that.
what might be an otherwise bad matchup.
Absolutely there. All right, well, so we're going to take a brief second here, do another interview here with Noah, your round 11 winner here. Moving on to 8-2-1. Be back with you here in a second. And we are here with round 11 winner Noah Bujak. Kind of getting the other end of the stick today from his matchup from yesterday. Definitely a little bit of a little seesaw action there on the other side of it there. So going into this matchup, I'm sure you saw online who's playing Shocklock. How are you feeling going into it?
Well, it wasn't just online. I've been talking with him for a little bit throughout the tournament, and we're kind of buds. So I was kind of scared. We were joking around the whole time, like, "Hey, we're gonna hit and bracket. You're gonna lose." And I'm like, "No, you're gonna lose." And it was kind of just back and forth. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm probably gonna lose because I figured if I lose the coin flip, he's probably gonna get the Gudra before I can get my Garbodor active." But I ended up winning the coin flip, and he also prized his Goomy, it looked like. So then things just kind of fell down a slippery slope for him from there.
You definitely had, in both games, very similar chains in events where you were able to go Garbo Bump Stadium, and then red card.
Yeah.
He was able to hit a Juniper, and then you go, okay, Dallas can bump the stadium and hit all the pieces again. Like, so how are you feeling when you were seeing this sequence of events happening?
I don't know. I honestly don't know how I felt. It was like I expected him to not get like the Junipers off of the red cards, but I also didn't expect myself to get the back-to-back red cards.
Yep.
So it kind of like balanced out. I
Definitely there. In that end game or near the end of game 2 there, he was starting to get to a point where he was able to get close to that strategy there and start eyeing it down there. If he was, he was getting to the point to where he was trying to get to that Stoutland and then the Evil Shock set up on the Raichu there, and then your Float Stone was gone. So at what point were you kind of feeling a little bit off there? Were you ever kind of rattled at all, or did you kind of have confidence going in, knowing you only had like 3 prizes left?
I was never really worried throughout game 2 because I knew that he wouldn't be able to win in time, most likely, just because of the slow nature of the deck, and I had already won game 1, so I wasn't really too nervous.
Okay. Cool. So looking at the rest of the decks in the field right now, we do see a lot of Trevenants. So how are you feeling? You're in a good spot right now in your record there, and you have a lot of Trevenants probably coming up here soon. How are you feeling about that matchup?
Pretty good. I believe I was the only loss that Kieran had taken yesterday, and he finished 8-1. So I may see him at some point, maybe not. I also beat Andrew Estrada yesterday, both playing the same deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Andrew brought it really close. It was scary with the game 3, turn 2 of time. He had one prize left, and then I ripped the Guzma off the end 2, luckily.
Wow.
So.
All right. So are there any decks in day 2 that you're kind of wanting to avoid, or you're feeling pretty confident for a top 8 placement here today?
Hitmonchan and Night March, I think, I can beat them. They're a little bit shaky matchups, but they're not too terrible. And Frank Persick's Executor Noivern thing, that thing was scary when I saw it. But
once the Noivern comes out,
I'm pretty sure he's out of my bracket right now, so that's not too much of a concern right now.
Perfect. Well, congrats on your win here. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give to the stream?
I want to shout out everyone on my team, Colonial Esports, all testing with me and helping me get through, especially Gabriel Smart. He really helped with the list and helping me with matchup knowledge.
Awesome. Congrats on your victory here. We'll be back here with some potential chat action maybe. We'll see. We'll bring some other content here shortly.